You should be barricaded in your house and kept off of the street, or sterilized, lobotomized, left in a car in heat, cause the things you say and do tell me your brain cells are with you, and that is why I hate you.
Oh yeah, we're back with another episode here on And That Is Why I Hate You. I am Matthew, and I'm sitting here with my buddy Joaquime. Yeah, that's right, I said your name this time.
Recording.
I said your name instead of letting you say it this time. I don't know why.
That's fine.
I just want to start by saying we got a really big snowstorm here today, and I was supposed to have a dentist appointment today at 4 p.m., and it's a big appointment. Like, it was going to be a long appointment. I have 2 crowns that they got to take care of because my teeth just keep falling apart, and I don't know why. And they're like, we don't know. I don't want to get into that because it irritates me. But I called yesterday, and I said, hey, we're supposed to get a really big snowstorm. I've been waiting a month for this appointment because I had to make it a month out because that's when they had available. Do you guys have anything available in the very near future that I can use, that we could schedule me for now, since it looks like there's a very good chance we won't be able to do the appointment tomorrow? And the woman was like, oh, it's supposed to be cleared up by later, and your appointment's later in the afternoon, so I think you'll be fine. I was like, all right, can you just check? And she checked, and of course, she's like, oh, I don't really see anything. So anyway, today comes, we've got a bunch of snow outside, but the roads aren't terrible at this point, and there's a couple hours before I have to leave. Yeah, so I was like, man, I didn't want to go because I didn't want to, it's an hour away. I didn't want to have to drive that far in the snow, but I was like, I guess I'm going to have to go. But just for the hell of it, I checked their Facebook page, and they've got a post up that says they're closed today. I didn't get a notification that my appointment was canceled and they were closed.
Well, no one's in the office to notify you. They probably decided the dentists probably, like the doctors, probably decided last minute, and they sent the bulletin or called or the main text or whatever, and so they weren't going to open the office because there'll probably be no doctors in, and so they closed the whole shop. They can't tell the patients. They say, fuck them. We got their money. They're good.
I guess, but you think that somebody there, dogs barking, of course, as soon as we start, but there's got to be somebody there who's responsible for that, right? So even worse, though.
Should. Yeah. Oh, unless you already did. I think you did say should. That's the
even worse, though. I just get a fucking notification via email and via text reminding me about my appointment today and asking me to confirm.
No, because they automated the shit.
I know, but nobody. So first off,
nobody prevents for bad situations, like negative situations. Nobody actually prevents for.
There has to be something that comes up, though. Yeah, but you're talking about it. They've got to have 100 appointments a day with all the dentists and hygienists they have there.
They don't give a shit. I don't know what you're looking for here. They clearly don't give a shit.
But they have a whole system in place, obviously, to notify people to confirm appointments and stuff.
They don't give a shit. If they can't make money out of it, they don't give a shit.
I just can't believe. All right, but it's one thing to not bother notifying anybody. I can't believe the dog's still barking.
Because I bet you if you bring it up to them, they'll just say, "Oh, our apologies. How about you have another appointment next year? Because that's when we have open."
I don't know, dude. All I'm saying is, it's one thing to not send out any confirmations to be like, "Hey, we're closed." It's another thing to send out an email. It's like, "Hey, are you coming to your appointment?" And a text message.
Yes,
at least stop that.
I get the insult. Remember, everybody knows my medical history so far on this podcast. I'm so jaded that I don't even get joy from hearing your bad story. It's just bullshit. Regardless,
it's just so stupid. Like, I'm like, what fucking moron didn't turn off the notifications to say, "Hey, are you coming to your appointment?" If I had driven out there an hour in the snow and there was nobody there, I would have broken a window or something. I would have flipped out.
I'm sorry, but that's the equivalent of like getting fucked in the ass and then having to pull out and just lopping it right on top of your face. I'm sorry, you almost spit. I didn't even know you were drinking.
I did. I just spit tea all over my fucking monitor and keyboard, dude. Oh, come on, man. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because it's already bad enough if you're not into that.
It's everywhere.
That's what they said.
That's what they said. Man, I got tea everywhere. Oh, shit. Oh, it's all over my keyboard and my... Oh, God damn it, dude. Oh, you son of a bitch. I'll clean my screen off better later. I wiped it off with my 3D printing rag I have here. Holy shit. Anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest because I'm very, very, very mad.
No, I understand.
It always drives me crazy when people have little to no consideration. I don't care if you're a business. If you're a business, there's somebody there whose job should
There's
be
supposed to be
to
somebody
fucking do
whose job
that.
that they're supposed to fucking care.
Like, okay, I'm sure the dentist don't give a fuck. I'm sure the owner doesn't necessarily give a fuck, but there's somebody there whose job should be to take care of that. You got hundreds of people that are expecting to come in. Anyway, and my fucking mouth hurts, and it's alternating. I have a crown on either side. The right side hurt like 4 days ago all day, really bad. Today, the left side hurts really bad. Man. But yeah, like you said, I'm probably going to wait another month now for an appointment. Anyway.
It's garbage, dude. I mean, especially with that kind of pain, like, every time I get work done at the dentist, it feels like there's something new that's hurting. They never they never listen to me when I go, look, when they did my root canal, not my root canals, when they took out my wisdom teeth, I have gaps behind my teeth now.
Yeah, so did I. And mine closed up eventually.
Because like, well, use a flosser and shoot. I do shoot water in there. There's still an immense pain somewhere behind my molars, and I can't look into my own mouth to see it.
But let's talk about this for a second. It's not just a hole. It's a gaping wound. Mm-hmm. It's not a hole. It's a wound.
And I have to scrape in there with like a toothpick. It's just fucking horrible that I have to scrape in there. But I'd rather have somebody who can see as they're doing it.
Well, they should stitch it up.
Missing because I can't feel it.
I guess. I don't know.
I feel nothing but pain.
Stitch it up.
So
they should stitch it up.
I understand. They don't like.
Oh, stitches.
It's an insult to injury kind of situation.
Speaking of stitches, I got to get into that later, but I'm going to let you go first. You were just telling me you watched a terrible movie, and now I want to know what it was.
I knew what I was getting into because I was looking for a bad movie on Tubi, and Tubi is the only place I can find bad horror anthologies.
I mean, if you're looking for a movie on Tubi, it's probably going to be bad.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree. And nothing makes me happier than finding that, like, that a movie sort of like Tales from the Crib, like hosted by like Danny Trejo. It's bad, but it's just so enjoyably bad. And it knows
it's a movie though?
Oh yeah, there's a movie called Tales from the Crib. It's on Tubi, and Danny Trejo's the host. Oh, Danny Trejo and technically Uhura from Star Trek are the hosts.
Yeah, I've heard of this before. Yeah. I've heard of Tales from the Crib before.
And it has a bunch of old actors in it, like Vivica Fox is in it for like a small part. Like,
yeah, whatever happened to her?
The same thing that happened at the beginning of her career. She is really good at what she does, but she just never made it.
Yeah, but she was like really popular for a while. She was in Kill Bill. She was in Independence Day.
She's an amazing actress. Day, right? Yep, she was the girlfriend. But see, she was also playing that kind of role. So maybe it was personal decisions, maybe it was managerial decisions, maybe she didn't care too much. She made her money, she wants to take care of her family, and she just does work from time to time. But her career never like shot off to equate with her talent. But regardless of that, so I look for movies like that because I find it fun, and sometimes if I find it's good enough, I torment my friends with it. Well, I found a movie that has a great title, and I was hoping it would be good. It's called Tales of the Misguided.
Oh, I like the title. It's a great title.
It's a fun, it's going to be some campy, goofy bullshit.
Yeah, that's a great title.
It starts off, this dude looks like probably in his mid-20s, very handsome, looks like he is a self-help guru. That's the kind of person he looks like.
I mean, I'm seeing like ponytail, bandana,
no, black guy,
shark tooth necklace.
No, black guy. Yeah, so
he can still
yeah, but usually they're Brazilian if they look like that.
All right, if it's a black guy, I'm thinking like really, really in shape, clean cut looking, maybe a beard, but like those perfect edges.
Perfect. See, you know who I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about now. That's what he looks like.
All right, got it.
And he sits down.
Sorry, wait. I'm sorry. I don't want to appear racist there. When I think self-help guru, I just immediately go to those granola crunchy, fucking hippie-looking motherfuckers.
I'm sorry. Each race has their look. Each race has their look, and when you see that person, you're like, I know what you do for a living. Like, you just could tell. But you knew when I said he's black, and you kind of broke out of your normal stereotype, and you thought about it, you knew exactly what to think of.
100%. Yep.
This is what he looks like. This man sits down on a dirty couch. And when I say dirty couch, I don't mean like it's filthy, like film filthy. I mean like they have kids in the house.
Okay.
So there's crumbs and
Sure.
there's blankets and like pillows kind of mismatched everywhere. And they pretty much sat this camera on a chair. He sits in front of it with like a bowl and I think a drink, and he starts chewing on pretzels while talking to the camera.
Interesting.
And then the first story, oh god, the first story is probably the best one out of them, and not because it's good. Actually, no, fuck it.
Wait. Is it like he's sitting watching the
it's like he's watching it, but he's talking to us, who's also in front of him.
Oh, okay, so this is a lot like, I don't know if you watched it yet, but the Bill Burr anthology where he's kind of just talking.
Yes, it's sort of like that, but filmed terribly.
Okay, perfect.
And he's just like,
I like films terribly.
He goes and goes, you know, what they tell you that the world is rough, but it's only rough if you a dog. You know, it's like bullshit like that.
Right.
So the first story is like a
joke,
game night with a bunch of
you're rough if you're a dog.
It's a bunch of like doofuses playing board games and talking shit. And for like the majority of the story, that's all they're doing. And then one guy, he's worried that his wife is cheating on him. Okay. And then they talk him into confronting her because he was going to try to leave it alone or catch her if she was. But she calls her. She's like, I think we need a break because my cousin's a yoga instructor, and that's who you think I was cheating on you with. And he goes, I think we need a break. And he's all heartbroken. And they're like, oh, we're sorry. Well, at least she's not cheating on you, and that's a win. Yay! I'm like, okay, so it's just goofy. Okay, you know what? If it's not going to be scary, fine. It's just going to be a goofy show. It didn't say anything about horror. It just called Misguided. So maybe
definitely no horror elements there.
I thought the boyfriend was going to like go crazy and like kill his girlfriend or something. And then the horror twist was then he gets off the phone with her. And he's all sad, and she calls. He goes, "Yeah, baby, he's at a game night. I'm so wet for you. We just come over." I'm like, the fuck? And he go, ain't that a shame? Yeah. I mean, he would write the whole time, but he let his stupid friends tell. Like, bro, I just saw the movie. You didn't bookend it. You're just telling me what happened again. Like, it's like you're dealing with a real stupid friend who thinks they know what's going to happen. And
That's the way it is when I watch movies with either my mother or my daughter. Both of them, like throughout the whole movie, they just have to explain, oh, that guy just did this. Oh, that guy they have to explain everything that just happened to me. We know.
And this movie teetered me between like being super amusing, but so bad that it's not good enough for me to show my friends. So I'm going to fast forward between the other middle one. The one of them I tuned out completely. I don't know what happened. But then the last one, actually, was there one before that? I don't give a shit. The last one, they split into 4 parts. So now it's an anthology inside of an anthology. And the last one dealt with subjects that I was like, okay, so I know what happened. You thought you had something so profound to say that your skill was able to meet with what you were trying to say. Because there's a certain level, like if you have a certain skill level, you do not cross these certain situations. Like as a filmmaker, if I filmed a movie, I would never go with the subject of rape because I don't have the skill to write or film something like that.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Where it's respectful and gets my point across without being super offensive. I don't have that skill.
Isn't that a saying? You know, like write what you know?
Yeah.
Something like that?
I don't, even if you know it, you may, again, this, I guess I can see the angle. Yeah.
Right.
But the subject, like, it gets to the point, like, it's uncomfortable, which I guess is the point, but then it's uncomfortable for the wrong reasons. Like, it's because, like, oh, you guys shouldn't have gone this far. And then they do it again. Like, this character is supposed to be the misfortune. It's like written like a drama, like, almost like Precious, which is well written. So right, like, of course. The girl has an abusive...
won awards.
Right? So the girl, she has a verbally abusive mother who ignores her needs for the needs of the men in her life.
Okay.
So the woman who's definitely in her 30s, playing a 15-year-old at this point in the story.
Don't you love that?
Like the girl's like, girl, you better do this work. You got things to do. I got to go to work. You need to do the dishes. They better be done by the time I get back. Oh, and your uncle has been working all night and he's sleeping in the other room. So don't bother him and make sure he knows that there's food in the refrigerator. And she leaves. And as soon as she leaves, the uncle comes out and goes to the room and like, oh God, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. And yes, they do the Uncle Bad Touch thing.
Of course.
And then she tells the mother, and the mother says, whatever you think he did, he didn't do it. And you better just get over it. I'm like, I know these things happen, and I know it's terrible, but the way it presented it, made it so I'm focused more on the execution than it is on what the meaning was. Like, I know the meaning. We all know that's bad. We know that it's a bad thing.
I mean, is there meaning? Like when things like that are done in movies or television shows, when it's done well, it's usually it's not done just as the shock value or the let's make the person feel uncomfortable value. Yes. It's done to create empathy or to further the plot line properly. Like, it's usually done out of necessity. They don't just do it for the sake of doing it.
Absolutely. And mind you, this story is not a story meant for an anthology. Let's just put this out there. Aspects of it could have been, but the main story was not. And I can see where this could have worked if it was focused on and handled a lot better. Because then the uncle did his thing. The daughter had to shut her mouth because the mother was not, the mother was terrible. Right, so some time passes. I guess the sister is like 18. Her brother is going for, he's like making it into the NFL. He's like a running back or something. And him and his fiance are together. And they made a pact where they won't have sex before marriage.
Okay.
So he's trying to convince his girlfriend to be with him. And she's like, no, we made a promise. So then he comes home and the same scene that happened with the uncle happens with the brother, almost verbatim. It's just done the same way. Okay. And mind you, during this, they intersplice each situation with the woman is being interrogated by a police officer. So you already know she killed everybody. You know that. Okay. You already know that that's what happened. But they're doing the scenario over and over. So now the brother did the same thing.
But are they playing this for the drama aspect, or are they just playing for the shock aspect?
I think both. Again, it could be if it was better written, because I can see the way they ended it. You can see it could have been done better. Well, it could have been done better right from the beginning. But okay, so the brother does it. So then you find out, it seems like, and what happened to your father? Well, my father, he got out of prison and found Jesus, and he left and became like this popular pastor. And you see the scene where the father comes home, and this is the only one where they kind of made it a little different. Now, mind you, it's gotten silly by this point that it's happened almost like the same steps over and over, like reading a children's storybook. Where the story, the big mean monster comes out, but the kid says, no, and the monster walks back, and the big mean monster comes. Like, how you read storybooks to your kids, and where it's repetitive.
Sure.
The movie felt like that. So then the father comes in, and this is the only time they changed it up. The mother lets the father in. The father goes, "Where's baby girl?" And she's like, "Is she in her room?" And he goes into her room, and he's sitting down. And he's like petting her head, and the mom looks in and closes the door, and like, oh Jesus fuck!
So this is the third time.
Yeah, the third time. So
and
now,
let's be realistic. If he's a pastor now, it's going to be a little boy. I mean, come on.
Exactly right.
That makes sense.
So now all three men. So just all the men in this family are just fucked up. That's apparently where we're going with this. So the sister is talking to her sister-in-law, and she's pregnant. She's like, "I've never seen you with a man." And she was like, "Yeah, I've only slept with 3 men in my life, and just so happened the third time it happened, I get pregnant." So obviously we know the father's the one that impregnated her.
Got it.
And so there's scenes that don't have context because, again, it's an anthology. It has to go fast.
Sure.
So without the context, you see that she's entering people in her house. It doesn't help that the actress doesn't age because she's been 30 since she was 15.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, they're having a family reunion. And so we're intersplicing scenes from the family reunion. So she's just poisoning everybody. Like, she's going to kill everybody
During
at this
the
family
reunion.
reunion because
Right.
we're also having flashbacks from the interrogation. So we're getting multiple flashbacks all happening at once, and not necessarily in any order, but each dramatic chapter of, like, you know, her being abused is in order.
Okay.
So it's
Sounds really confusing.
It's very confusing.
So, and this was like 4 spliced up parts within a larger anthology?
Yes.
Why even bother? Why not just have it be one long chapter at the end of the movie?
I don't know. Mind you, the host warns you. The host goes, well, this one we had to break up into 4 chapters. Like, Negro, if you don't shut up, just don't talk.
Like, we had to break this one up into 4 chapters because it was so poorly put together. We figured that was the only way anybody was going to get through it.
Because we were going to make this the movie, but then people were like, this is a little too heavy. And mind you, he speaks with the air of somebody who wrote and directed the film.
Maybe he did. Did you look?
I'm sure he did. I could not bring myself to watch the credits anymore, but I'm sure he did.
I only watch the credits when I want to give credence to the people that actually created something good. If it's bad, it's like, no, fuck you.
Sorry, when Matt uploads this, and if anybody actually watches this, anytime I laugh, everything's going to shake because I have to do this in my room because my kids won't leave me alone.
That's okay. We got a great shot of me spitting tea all over everything, so that's probably the clip people are going to see. Yeah. So, well, it sounds terrible.
Oh, I have to finish it. I just have to finish
No,
it.
go ahead. Finish.
Because I have to get this out. So, long story, already long. Now try to end it. So everybody's at this family reunion, and it's so sloppy. And she has like a daughter who's like 10 years old, apparently, who's probably the only person who looks their age. And she's like, well, now that I have everybody here, I want all of you to know that I want revenge. Oh, are you airing our dirty laundry? First of all, if you did something so dirty, there's no way you're going to even let this person talk.
Yeah, that's true.
You're gonna scream over them, bark at them. You're not gonna let them hear. You're gonna cover them, anything, especially if you're a house full of terrible people. The only person who had nothing, actually there's 2 people. The only 2 people who had nothing to do with it was this woman who I think might actually have used to be a man. Only reason why, because she has a very powerful man voice. Okay. And she comes out of nowhere in the story, so it's jarring.
You mean the actress, or
the actress might be trans? I don't know.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you meant in context of the story.
And if they are, that's fine. It just was very jarring to me when she spoke.
Well, it'd be weird if it was in context of the movie and they're just randomly like, let's just throw a trans woman in at the end.
Right? Maybe they just did
with no context or backstory.
Maybe they just casted the character.
Yeah, maybe.
And you know what? That's fine, but it just threw me the hell off. Especially if like the father's a pastor, that would be a big fucking whatever.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So, but she really loud. She made sure she was getting her spotlight, even though she wasn't in the whole entirety of the story. And then the sister-in-law, who was just fucking oblivious. And I don't know if she was Hispanic or white, but she got pulled into a whole situation that she did not need to be in. But she's like, and every single one of you have abused me. So remember those delicious red drinks that slightly tasted like almonds? Because somebody made a comment to that and went, cyanide?
Oh, because, yeah, I was just, because that's like, what everybody...
They would not have been alive long enough.
Every Law and Order episode smells like almonds. Oh, must have been a cyanide.
That's an inside joke with my friends.
Yeah, it's a trope. It's a trope in movies and TV shows. They always... So, I smell almonds.
They said it like 3 times during the scene. Like they're telling the drinks taste like almonds or something, like smells like almonds and whatnot. And
they like, keep drinking it.
Yeah, I'm like, I know, unless it's some kind of amaretto thing.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
Why does this fruit punch taste like nuts?
but even then, because I dipped them in it. But but even then. none of them would be alive long enough for you to have your monologue.
No.
They'll be too busy having headaches and vomiting.
Well, they had to stay alive so the movie could happen.
Right? So like, the loud one did make a really funny comment that I laughed loudly. Like, she was explaining the almond drink, and it's all cyanide, and she loudly, off camera, went, I didn't drink any. she made sure her character didn't die like that.
That's great. That's so great. All right, well, that's good writing. That's great writing right there.
So they called the little girl into the room, and the mom pulls out a gun. And
hold on.
Oh,
I gotta interject. It just reminds me of one of my favorite. I don't think you've ever watched AEW, but I've watched AEW since it started on and off. One of my favorite parts ever. There's there's one of the I forget which wrestler was doing like one of the interviews backstage, and the wrestler she's supposed to be in a feud with this woman named Nyla Rose. She just comes running into the scene and goes, "Surprise, bitch!" and smacks her in the face.
Dave Chappelle,
but you hear it, you hear
so
it
funny.
Yes, he did. But you hear it off screen. You just hear, "Surprise, bitch!" and she comes running in, punches her in the face.
Have you seen Black Dynamite?
No.
There's a scene, and just because you mentioned that kind of joke always will get me. There's a scene where Black Dynamite gets attacked by a bladed boomerang. And
I like that idea.
And so the villain's trying to run away, and you see a bladed boomerang fly through a window and cut his arm off. And Dave Chappelle and Black Dynamite jumps on camera out of nowhere and goes, "Ha ha! I threw that shit before I walked in the room," and then kicks him. And it's just the funniest shit. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
So they call the little girl into the room, and the mom pulls out a gun and shoots her. Like, everybody goes, "No!" and they shoot the little girl.
Wait, the mom shot her own little girl, her incestuous baby?
Oh shit.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Hold on.
Shit. I'm sorry. Because I got derailed.
If she like has some sort of animosity towards her child because it's the child of rape and incest, then why would she even let it live to 10? Wouldn't that be like an immediate thing?
That's not the reason why.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Why. She's not warped. She's not warped. She's warped now at this point. Her moral compass is warped because of everything that happened. This is where I feel like it could have been done better if it was just focused as at least a passable movie.
Okay.
Albeit uncomfortable, because this is the line. So the uncle gave the girl AIDS at 15.
What?
The uncle
just throwing in AIDS too? Okay.
And she didn't sleep with anybody because anyone else.
Oh, that's why she
was AIDS.
Got it. Okay.
Then her brother attacked her, raped her, and so he got AIDS, and then he gave it to his wife.
Okay.
And then
a lot of AIDS passing around.
Raped her, got her pregnant, got AIDS, and gave it to the mom as well.
Okay. And
then
obviously the
brother
child
became like a popular football player. The father was like this popular pastor, and then she waited for 10 years to have a family reunion.
Yeah.
Just say, like, you're not gonna hurt my baby the way that you hurt me.
So that's why.
Mercy killed her daughter.
This writing is I'm laughing.
Oh, so bad.
Bad writing. Just really bad.
Poisoned everyone else with cyanide, then shot them all except for the mother. The mother who also apparently didn't drink the almond Kool-Aid.
Oh, of course not, because she needed to stay alive.
Yeah.
For whatever happens at the end.
Then the main character, the mother, not the mother, the main character goes to jail and gets executed, and then the mom shoots herself at the end. And then,
yeah, it sounds like somebody was just like saw Rogue One and was like, "I got an idea."
Or any drama,
Rogue One.
Any drama,
yeah, any drama.
Watched R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just everybody got the package. That's just what happened.
Wait a minute. So she got AIDS when she was 15?
She got AIDS when she was 15 and survived 15 years with AIDS.
How did she survive 15 years with AIDS without treatment?
A really good immune system, apparently.
Yeah, I don't think that makes sense either. I don't think that...
None of it makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking for... What am I doing?
Like, I doubt she secretly was, like, taking something. And apparently the mom knew the whole time. But I was just like, so did you know her brother had... Was she giving her daughter, like, AIDS medication then?
It doesn't matter. None of this matters. Because
everyone seemed surprised when she said she had AIDS, so apparently the mom didn't know. Like, when you scrutinize it, it's bad. And I can see, again, where you, with the convoluted twists, like where you said, well, this is cause and effect. Like, you use the bare bones of, if this, then that. Like, they use the bare bones of it.
But right, with absolutely no thought about any other trees that could branch off. Yeah. Right.
And then it ended with homie still eating pretzels or whatever the fuck he was eating. And going, yep, just be careful. When your family has dark secrets, make sure their secrets ain't darker than yours. Like, eating, I'm like, wait, hold on. I saw the movie, and they at least had 30-something years of just doing whatever the fuck they wanted without consequence, and they were perfectly happy. They were old by the time revenge came for them.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Depending on how they see things, if you had like a Buddhist mindset, you'd be like, well, I had a few good years. I'm okay. Like, that's a really bad movie to end that on, story to end that on.
Yeah, that's terrible. Well, let me ask you this. Did you see everything coming? Like, were you surprised by any of it, or were you just like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen?
From the beginning, I knew that once she mentioned the uncle, I knew what was going to happen. Soon as the one character mentioned something about, like, it tastes like almonds, I went, cyanide.
Yep, like, of course.
Because you gotta, when you're watching a movie, you know, some people complain, well, I knew that was coming from a mile away. You know, those assholes. And yes, I am one of those assholes. I've now gotten to the point where I go, well, I know that I'm going into this type of movie, so I'm going to be in this mindset.
Sure.
So I'm already looking to do that.
That doesn't have to ruin it either. I just, not a movie, but I just finished a book last night where I really saw the ending coming.
Yeah.
About a quarter way into the book. And it was still a great book. Like, I knew it was going to happen, but it was fine. It didn't ruin the book for me.
Well, the thing is, when you're a type of person who does that, and you look for the ending, even if you're not looking for it, and you can just see the signs.
Well, I don't understand.
It depends on the road that you're going. Because the signs are always going to be there. But if the road is just a flat plane going straight ahead, there's nothing, there's no fun. Like, you need to throw a deer in the road once in a while or something.
Yeah, a good story has to subvert your expectations once in a while. I mean, I think a good story has to have a healthy mix. Sometimes exactly what you expected, and sometimes because it sets you up. The more you expect, okay, that's what I thought, and then all of a sudden something happens. You're like, oh shit, I had no idea that was going to happen. Yeah. It really sets you up for that twist or that moment where you're just like, oh. Now, I don't understand all the references to the almonds to begin with. Like, why not just leave it alone and have her
times, bro?
But why not just have her just come out and be like, "Oh, I just poisoned y'all." Like, why set
That's what I'm saying. I feel like the director was telling everybody, or they all read the script, right? But the script was not written line by line. It was written just talk, just have conversation, make comments.
So they were just ad-libbing it like almonds.
Instead of saying it on the script, it said like it tastes funny or it tastes a little like almonds, and the actor was just like, "This tastes like almonds," instead of like just going, "Oh man, what'd you put in this? This tastes weird."
But you know what I mean?
Or like, just make a face, or just make a fucking face.
Sure. But when you're leading everything up to this big moment where she reveals she's secretly killed everybody, why are you dropping all these hints to ruin it?
Because they try to be clever and do like the M. Night Shyamalan, like there was twists all the time. But there was a million twists.
Oh, you mean like hiding little Easter eggs and tidbits throughout the movie where you should have, like Sixth Sense was a great example. There are so many points where you're like, if you had noticed
really good example.
Okay, sure, yeah, the only good example where when you go back and they're like, oh, there are all these points where you could have noticed, oh, the wife never talks to him, he only talks to her. Okay, so they were trying to do that, they just failed.
They failed miserably. And again, like how as arrogant
not miserably,
as this guy,
spectacularly.
As arrogant as the host was, I'm like, he had to have been the director. He had to be the director, writer, and host.
Well, it doesn't sound like they had much luck casting this movie
They
with a
have a lot of
15-year
people. Like they didn't reuse actors.
A 15-year-old being played by an obviously 30-something-year-old woman. I mean, it sounds like they didn't have great luck, unless that was like his wife.
When the uncle came into the room, first of all, it looked like something out of Nickelodeon. The way he was sneaking up to the door.
He's doing that like
mildly. It was mildly
Tom and Jerry.
comical.
That Tom and Jerry sneak.
He's like a tall guy that's like front heavy, so he's like fat in the front, but he could be skinny if you look at him from the back.
Okay.
And so he was like leading with his gut to sneak. It looks really funny.
That's funny.
And he like snuck into the room and like your sister's gone, or your sister-in-law, or whatever the fuck. She's gone. What are you sneaking for? And,
yeah.
And he just like he sat there, was like, and he always leaves with this fucking line, and it's like, if that doesn't even more make you more disgusted with what you're about to do, he goes, "How old are you now, baby girl? I remember when I used to change your diapers."
Well, that's to remind the viewer that she's young.
Yeah,
because she looks 30. She looks 30, so they gotta let people know. They gotta put some exposition in there so you know.
Right. But I was just like, but for me, like, I'm trying to think like of this, how this depraved person even got to this point, going like, you said you avoided changing diapers, right?
No,
I didn't. You did. I was talking to another dad who talked about like he doesn't change diapers. I'm like, no, I changed. How did you avoid that? But anyway,
yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I remember changing diapers, and maybe it's because I'm not interested in children why I don't understand this mindset. But the fact that there's poop, pee, and all kinds of nastiness in that area, how do you go back in your mind and go, "That's gonna be my introduction to getting with that booty"? Like, how the fuck does that cross your mind to be a line to say?
Not to be super, super gross, but once you clean shit out of your daughter's vagina,
it makes normal vagina gross.
It's like the grossest thing in the world.
Like, I cannot understand it.
Or even underneath your kid's ball sack, you gotta
look. My kids, like my daughter, if she's still like learning how to wipe properly, because you're gonna have to help with that. So between my wife and I, whoever's home has to help her sometimes. It is so gross.
Oh yeah,
it is so gross.
Everything about it is gross.
I'm surprised my dad would still sleep with my mom, because my dad took care of the mentally handicapped. Not saying my mom's mentally handicapped. She's mentally disturbed, not handicapped.
Right.
But my dad had to change adult diapers.
Sure, yeah.
That would fucking ruin any kind of sexual... I didn't touch my wife's... my wife's gonna fucking hate me. I didn't touch my wife's breasts for such a long time because she was breastfeeding.
Oh, really?
It changed my brain, and it was just
I get it.
Boobies are for breastfeeding now.
Yeah.
They're not for fun. And
it changed my mind.
Now I can't get into it. I don't understand how some men want lactating women. That's your thing. But I just don't get it. It's just not something I understand.
I didn't specifically want that. I was just like, those got big.
But they're full of milk. My brain just, I can't. So like the correlation just always like fucking confuse the shit out of me. Especially like, I almost wonder, like, do real creeps even try to use pickup lines? I guess so. But that's a bad one. And then the fucking nerve for this old, dirty motherfucker to say it again in the movie. He says it during the family reunion. Goes, "I remember when I used to change your diapers." Wait, is that a fucking thing? Now I can't go to my own family reunion and see an old family member saying that, which used to be a thing. That is a thing that they say that, but it's not it's more of a, wow, you used to be tiny.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah,
just all you're saying.
Yeah,
like you were helpless and you couldn't even wipe your own ass. That's a nice way of saying that.
Now you're a grown adult. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I never got the joke when people used to be like when you were a kid, people were like, "I want to be a gynecologist." I'd be like, "Why?" So you can see yeast infections and all kinds of weird diseases out there, and then like just go home and be thinking of that in your head all day.
Bro, I am so smell sensitive. I am absolutely smell sensitive. If I was become a gynecologist and I get a fart in the face, that would just ruin. That would just ruin all the years of going to school, all the parties I didn't go to,
Thank you so much for bringing that up.
I would go right into my past and come back and just lose my shit. Literally.
I'm so happy you brought that up because now I'm thinking about it, and it's happened before. Did I ever tell you about the time I went to the urologist for the first time?
No.
I went to a urologist. I don't remember if it was when I first got a kidney stone or oh
Jesus Christ!
I remember what it was. I was really young. I was like my early teens, and I had. Why am I telling you this or anybody this?
You're telling this on live internet at this point.
Anyway, I had like around the rim of my head of my penis like these little bumpy things, right? Which apparently are a normal thing.
Yes,
there's some
glands.
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't know. I never thought about it.
You trying to pop it?
No.
Oh my god! Oh, I got so scared.
I had seen them, and I was just like, what's like? Do I have something wrong with me? Like, I never noticed it before, and then I finally noticed it
or something.
Yeah, right. So I went to the urologist, and I just remember going in, and he's like, "So what's the problem?" And I told him, and he's like, "All right, sit here," and he just sat me up on the chair like you go to in a doctor's office. He's like, "All right, pull your pants down." I did. And he just takes this giant magnifying glass that he had hanging and just puts it right over my junk. It was the funniest shit. This giant magnifying glass. I was like, is it that's small?
Like a cartoon.
It was so fucking funny. It wasn't funny at the time. At the time, I was horrified because he's got this giant magnifying glass over my dick. I was like, dude. And he's just like, oh, that's just whatever it was. And I was like, it is? And he's like, yeah, totally normal. Almost every guy's got them. I was like, oh. Okay. Why did I do this?
Oh my god.
Anyway.
I was talking to an old friend. So at some point, I don't remember, but I couldn't remember what my other health class, my sex ed class. They couldn't say the word sex ed anymore.
Yeah, they just called it health.
I had health, but I thought I couldn't remember it, but it was called like humanists class or something like that. It was a weird name. But I probably told the story before, so I'm not going to go fully into it, but I drew a lot in school, so in my group, they made me draw the diagram of the human penis.
Why did you have to draw it?
Because we had to draw the diagram and then do all like what the Venn diaphragms.
Like that you knew everything?
Yeah.
To show you knew it all. Okay.
So we had to do it in group, so I had to draw it. And they gave us a big piece of paper, so I was like, just so you can see everything, I'm going to draw a big one and do all the pieces.
Was this high school?
This was high school.
Okay.
So, and and I now think, when I'm thinking back on it, my teacher could have gotten fired. She was super cool, by the way, but she totally could have gotten fired for this comment. She, like, we were, doing
I already know where this is going.
The diagram. And, and mind you, shy kid. I drew all the time. I stayed to myself. I spent most of high school people thinking I was gay. So, because I was really nervous all the time.
Right, okay. And just kept to yourself and was quiet.
And, we had that emo stage in school where, like, we actually grew up during, like, the big emo craze, so, like...
Well, when we were that age, that was just kind of like a thing. Like, any kid that was a little different, it was like, oh, they're gay.
Yeah, that was a dark age kind of thought of ours.
Oh, but anyway, we lived... Dude, think about the stuff that went on when we were kids. I watched one of those... I'm going to let you finish your story, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of those everything wrong with videos for old school.
Yeah.
And like it starts off right away. I'm gonna go ahead and say the word because I'm saying it in context of what the joke was in the movie. But like one of the first parts of the movie, and in the everything wrong with, they're like, really, was this okay in the 90s? The very first part of the movie is he gets into a taxi out of the airport and he's like, oh, the seatbelt's broken. What do you suggest I do? And the driver says something like, I suggest you stop being such a faggot. Or something that. And that was the joke. Yep. And I was like, oh my, and that was like even 2003, maybe 2002, somewhere around there.
The transition from using certain words happened very fast. I think that's where
did.
A lot of pushback, even from people who are level-headed, came from.
But it's just like, to your point,
fast.
It's so crazy how much different the time was and how insensitive people were and how like, how just,
I still stand by it not being a banned word, but I do understand.
Oh, I agree.
It leaves me like I feel two ways about it most of the time.
I feel two ways about it too. I always think my brain always goes to you got to finish your penis drawing story. Yeah. My brain always goes to like words only have the power we give them. Words are just words. They're just letters. They can't do any real harm aside from what we allow them to do.
Yes.
Like we have to allow words to do harm. And part of me is like, okay, if we get so super sensitive about words that we make them, so horrible to say, we're giving them more power.
Yes.
So that when they are said, they're even worse.
Well,
but then at the same time,
it's a balancing act. It definitely
right.
Is.
I'm not going to go into the other side because everybody knows the other side.
You can't diminish it too much too, because there is worth in any word you say.
Right. Absolutely. Anyway, continue your penis drawing story.
So as I'm drawing it. I'm focusing on the drawing now. I pretty much stopped because no one else is doing anything else in my group. And I forgot one of my old friends who I ran into at work was like, we were kind of reminiscing about it because that was one of their favorite stories because of the teacher. She walks over and she goes, "Wow, that's big." And I'm very now like and she goes, I don't know, I thought my friend made the comment, but it wasn't my friend, it was the teacher. Went, "Oh, you must be drawing from experience."
Oh man!
And I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, I bet.
And it was just the most nervous laughter I could ever make. I think that's why I might have just contextualized. Mind you, the teacher was in her 20s. She was a young teacher, too. And she, if I remember correctly, she was a very attractive woman.
Yeah,
she told us some wild shit. She told us some wild shit. But holy fuck! I'm now as an adult, I'm thinking, wow, she would have lost her fucking job if we said anything.
Absolutely.
She never crossed the line.
Well, you know what?
Like that we know of.
Well, that was a different time. She might not have lost her job then.
No, you can say that was a different time all you want. They couldn't even call the class sex ed.
Oh,
remember
you're going a different way with it, right? Why she would have got fired, right?
Her making that comment absolutely could have lost her job. I hope she's living a great life. She seemed like a great woman. But holy shit, I almost fell out when that memory clicked back into place.
Sure, yeah.
And then I was as an adult, because I didn't think more of it than that was funny, or oh my god, please don't say that again, because and not in the not in the whole don't say that again because I don't feel comfortable with you saying it. Just I'm a teenage boy with really bad hormone issues right now. And that will put me in a headspace I don't need to be in.
Oh yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, I remember that. I can only think of my 5th grade teacher was really pretty, but that was different because it was 5th grade. In high school, no, it might not have been high school. I think it was middle school. There was one teacher we had, Miss Naudis, I think it was. She was really young, and she was probably fresh.
Remember their teachers' names.
I remember a lot of my teachers' names, but
things like that.
She was really young. She was our math teacher, but she was also my homeroom teacher. She was really pretty, and she would always I was the same way, dude. I was such a nervous, oh my god, get so embarrassed, couldn't talk to girls type of kid at that age, and so I was 20. But anyway,
imagine you being like that.
But she would come over and be like, "Oh, you're so cute" to me and stuff, not meaning attractive.
Yeah. Just
cute kid. I get all right, but anyway, I remember
teachers do have favorites. Okay,
true. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but there was one day I'm sitting in homeroom next to my friend Jason, and I'm not paying. I'm just doodling or whatever, and he starts tapping me, and he's like, Matt. I was like, what? And he's like, look. And I was like, what? He's like, Miss Naudis, look. And I was like, what? And I looked up and she was just kind of standing there. And he's like, wait. And I was like, what am I waiting for? And he's like, she's not wearing a bra. And she keeps bending over the desk. And I was like, you fucking pervert.
Fucking
I was like,
asshole.
I wouldn't look. That's how
now that's just floating in my fucking head.
Right? I know. I was like, you're such a fucking skis-ball, dude. He had the biggest crush on her. Yeah. But I wouldn't look because I was so embarrassed. I was like, I can't see that.
But that always that's now every time you go into class, no matter how much you like aren't gonna look or anything like that. That's still
I'm
in your fucking head.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't need that shit in my head right now. This is not.
She was a great teacher too.
Yeah.
She was very, very good at her job. And like, anyway.
See, now I had a math teacher. She didn't wear a bra either, but she was like the really mean.
Oh, okay.
Fucking, like,
I got it. Yeah, she wasn't one you would be happy to see.
She was a really skinny, like rail thin Jamaican lady who was just mean as fuck. Like she's probably still alive because her anger and evil just like preserved her insides.
Lets her plow through life.
She was just fucking mean for no reason.
Well, you had a much better health class than me.
Oh no, my health teacher was really awesome. She taught me, like, one, if somebody says a condom breaks, chances are they're lying to you. And she proved it. She fucking had a road cone. She put it over a road cone, and it went almost to the fucking bottom. And she's like,
"Oh boy,
this is proof. Look at this. Unless they cut it or put a hole in it, this is proof that they're bullshitting you if they say that."
No, that makes sense. Yeah, ours didn't delve deep into sex ed at all. I don't know if it was policy of the school, but I had the same health teacher in like elementary school that would come in during class time, like for an hour every couple weeks or every month or something, all the way up to high school. And he was just this crazy fuck. I just remember in like 5th grade, he'd come into the room and like he drew a condom on the board and was like, "This is a condom. If you don't wear it when you have sex, you're gonna get AIDS."
That's all that was it. Honestly, that was it. That's perfectly fine. That's like at least teach something. At least teach something. It's not going to feel great, but guess what? You know what else will feel great? Not having kids.
It was just so funny.
You don't want to be a kid having a kid.
You don't wear a condom, you're going to get AIDS. And I was like, what's AIDS?
Do you want an itchy pee-pee? You don't want an itchy pee-pee? Wash it and wear a condom.
Yeah, I think for him, he was probably just, he had confines he had to follow, and he was like, I'm just going to get the message as short and sweet as possible so I can get it out there.
He's probably very uncomfortable. He doesn't want to get in nuance, and being a male teacher in that genre.
No, this dude, not uncomfortable. No, he did not give a fuck.
Okay,
no, he was awesome. He was a crazy dude.
Back what I said.
No, he didn't give a fuck. He would have said anything if he could. Because I remember being in like even 3rd grade and him coming in and just like talking about whatever, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is he talking about?
You want your dick to look like a loaf of bread? Have sex without a condom.
You ever seen a dill pickle straight out of the jar? You don't wear a condom, that's what it's gonna look like.
I would love a sex ed drill sergeant. That would be so. Would be so good.
I mean, kids would listen more, and we'd probably lower teen pregnancy rates or whatever.
That's what Major Payne 2 should have been. Major Payne 2 should have been. He should have been a sex ed teacher.
Just Damon Wayans being a sex ed teacher.
That would have been Damon Wayans. Tell me that wouldn't be the greatest sequel.
It would be pretty good. It would be pretty good. All right, wait. So I want to throw back to, because we're already like an hour in. We haven't started a topic. Let me throw back and bitch. Because this is a complaining podcast, so let me complain. So my son, last Wednesday, we were playing trains, and he realized the piece was missing. So he was like, "Oh, I'm going to go get it, Daddy." And I was like, "Dude, don't worry about it. You know, we got everything else." And he's like, "No, I'm going to go." He took off, runs over the stairs, and I guess I didn't see him, but I guess just flopped straight on the stairs. My wife was right in the kitchen next to the stairs, and I was like, "You got it?" She's like, "Yeah." And I just hear her go, and I hear her go, "Oh." And I ran in. He busted open right above his eyebrow. Huge gash. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, stitches. It looked like a piece of meat just cleaved like halfway through. Yeah, sorry for the visual.
That's fine.
So anyway, he's freaking out. Everybody's freaking out. I'm trying to stop the bleeding. I'm trying to calm him down. So I said, all right, we got to go to the emergency room or urgent care or something. Let's jump in the car. I'm thinking back to when I was at the emergency room with my grandmother a couple months ago, and we waited like 6 hours. No, did I tell that story?
I believe so.
Anyway,
you either told me in person,
one or the other. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the podcast again if I already did, and if I did, I'm not going to. But I waited forever. I was like, I'm not sitting there with my 5-year-old with this giant gash in his head that won't stop bleeding. Yeah. So I was like, see if urgent care will do stitches. So she looked, and I looked, and was like, yeah, it looks like urgent care's handle stitches. I called the urgent care that we were going to go to. I said, hey, my 5-year-old just took a header into a step. He's got a big gash. Can you handle stitching it up? It's going to need stitches. They said, yeah, just hold on a second. 2 seconds later, came back, said, yeah, no problem. We bring him over to the urgent care. He's calmed down a little bit by now. Still bleeding a little bit, just kind of oozing, getting congealed. It was gross. It was bad.
Head wounds take a long time to
stop. They don't stop. So they bring us. There's nobody there. Nobody in the waiting room. I'm like, perfect. They bring us within, I'd say, 5 minutes. They bring us into a patient room. We're sitting there. We waited maybe a half hour. We're still waiting. Finally, a nurse comes in. She brings us to another room. I don't know why they switched our rooms. She brings us to another room. She takes his height and weight. Says, I'll be right back. The doctor will be right in, or whoever. The attending will be right in. I don't know if this person was a doctor, a nurse practitioner, a PA, whatever. Attending, I'll call this woman. We waited probably all together between when we got there and when we saw this person an hour and a half. She comes in and she's looking at him and she's like, and I was like, yeah, he's going to need stitches. And she's like, oh, I'm trying to figure out if I could super glue it or if he's going to need stitches. And I said, the way the bottom of the wound is swollen, you're not going to be able to glue that shut. It's not going to stay. They're not even. You're going to have to stitch it up. Plus, it's going to be a really bad scar if you do that.
I think she's also considering the fact that he's young and she doesn't want him to have this scar over his head.
She is.
Yeah.
Well, she was, but it turns out I don't think that's what she was considering. So she's looking. She finally is like, okay, yeah, I guess we got to do stitches. They start getting ready. My wife and my daughter were in the room too because we all went. They asked if they wanted to go outside, which I thought was a good idea because I didn't think it was going to be the most pleasant thing. Mm-hmm. So she starts by trying to put lidocaine. She asks me to hold him down. So I'm like, okay. So I'm laying on him, holding his arms as best I can while I'm trying to hold his head still. Mm-hmm. And she goes to put the lidocaine in, and I explained everything to him. I kept saying, we got to follow the instructions, buddy. They're going to need to do some stuff. It might hurt a little bit. You got to be brave. You got to try to sit through it. If you got to try not to move because it's very close to your eye. So she goes to try to put the lidocaine in. He realizes what's happening after about 2-3 seconds. He's still, and then he starts trying to move.
Yep.
And she pulls away. And she's like, you got to hold him still. And I was like, I am holding him still, but I'm one
still
person.
He's going to hold.
Well, that's why I said I can hold his head in a vertical position, but I can't keep him from wiggling a millimeter or two, Yeah. And there's a nurse not helping. She finally
That's what I was going to say. The nurse should have been holding his arms or something.
She finally held one of his arms down, and that was it, and was not really doing a very good job. So this woman tried maybe 2 more times to do the lidocaine, kept pulling away because and I'm trying to help him. I'm like, buddy, we're going to count it down, okay? We're going to count to 5, and then it's going to be done. And she's not adhering to that. She's like 5, and then it's 6. He's pulling away. She's like, I think you're going to have to take him to an emergency room. And I said, all right, well, we've already waited it's almost 2 hours now since we got here. It's getting late. It's like 7 o'clock at night. I was like, I really don't want to have to wait another 5 hours in an emergency room. Can we try to get this done? She's like, okay. So again, I held him down. I think we tried 2 more times, 3 more times. She keeps pulling away every time he moves this even a millimeter. The whole time she's like scolding me, like, you're not holding him still enough. You got to hold his hands down. Like, I am trying to do the best I can with my screaming and miserable child who's going through this traumatic incident. And she finally was just like, I don't have the skill set to deal with a squirming child like this. You're going to have to go to the emergency room. And I was just like,
she better not charge you. She better not fucking charge you for her time.
I don't know. So anyway, I was mad enough that she said it that way. But what made me mad was I called and asked. They could have said no then. They did not. When we got there and she realized she was in over her head, because that's why she was trying to decide if she could do the super glue. She realized it wasn't going to be something she could handle well. She could have just said then, like, look, I don't have this. I can't do this. It's not something I'm comfortable with. Take him somewhere else. Take him to the emergency room. I would have been mad, but I would have been like, okay. Instead, she waits till after we put him through all that trauma and all that misery, apparently. A couple hours later at least, to throw up her hands and tell me she can't do it. And again, not just like, I'm really sorry I can't do this. Like, I don't have the skill set to deal with a squirming child.
Where was this?
Goshen Urgent Care. I won't say the name of the business, but it was in Goshen.
Fuck that place. Okay, yep.
Well, we took him there when he broke his arm, and they were fine. Mm-hmm. They took the x-rays. They told us it was broken. We had to go to an pediatric orthopedist or whatever.
Yeah, but I had a bad experience there too. So
good. Anyway, it was awful. I finally said, like, do we have to check out or something? And she went, no, just go. That's literally how she said it. Just go. And we left.
She's frustrated at your child and you.
Yeah, dude, I was so angry. I'm not going to make it long-winded with what happened, but I ended up bringing him over to I didn't realize we had 3 emergency rooms kind of close to us, and I wasn't thinking about that. I called the other 2, not the one that I knew was going to take forever. Mm-hmm. One was like, we got a lot of people here, and was kind of wishy-washy about dealing with it. And the other was like, we don't have a lot of people here. We can totally handle it. Come on in. They were fantastic. 2 nurses, they wrapped him in a blanket. 1 nurse laid on top of him to hold his hands down. 1 held his head still, while this doctor, who was also fantastic, was an African man. I say that because he was literally from Africa. And
yeah, I didn't expect you were talking about he's from Africa.
Well, now I'm like, why did I bring that up? Now I just sound like an asshole for bringing it up to begin with.
You're trying to paint the picture of his accent.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking anyway.
Wonderful doctor, super kind, super sweet to him. They took care of it. I said, like, can I help? And they're like, well, you can hold his feet if you want. But new, and dude, it was terrible. He was screaming, please stop. Daddy, help me. Going crazy while they're trying to stitch his eye. The lidocaine shot, 2 seconds. The guy put it in, pulled it out, and I was like, did you get enough? And they were like, oh, yeah. I was like, the other woman had to do it like 6 fucking times and said it wasn't enough. Anyway, they stitched it up. It was probably 5 minutes or less total, but it was the most traumatic thing for me ever to watch him sitting there screaming for help. And they were fantastic. They were great. They did everything, which is what really should. Like, I wasn't prepared to deal with him being
my son
that
doesn't
miserable.
do well with doctors either. I mean, he wasn't ever in a situation where he was like bleeding out like that, but he gets crushed, and he like my daughter does it out of anger. And
I'm shaking thinking about it.
Yeah, my son, he gets desperate. He's hurt. He sounds like he's betrayed. He wants nothing more than to just be on you, but you gotta like hold him for his life. And he'll fight for dear life to just be near you. So I felt exactly that feeling.
He tried so hard too. He was saying, just count to 5, okay? Just to 5, okay?
Yeah, tried compromising.
Just one more, please. Just one more, okay? Okay, just one more. He was trying really hard to get through it. And he did a great job for what he had to do. And then he got done. He immediately jumped on my lap and he was, I love you, Daddy. I love you. No more, okay? Dude, it was the most. I bawled in the car on the way. I held it together until we got in the car. I bawled my eyes out on the way home. It was terrible. Anyway, but my point was, that fucking urgent care, not just fucking tell me when I called that they couldn't handle it. They knew who was there. They could again, and they went to ask. They went to find out.
You got to tell me if you get a letter in the mail saying that.
Oh, well, I did it. No, I won't be paying them if they do. But I did after we left, while I was at the emergency room. Yep. No. Yes. Yes. 5 minutes after we left, I got a text from them asking to leave them a review on Google.
Okay.
So I fucking did.
Absolutely.
And then I got a response that was like, please call us. And they tried to call me. And I was like, I would not have fucking left a review if you hadn't asked me to. But you fucking asked me to. So I did.
You gave me the worst kind of service.
Yeah.
And then asked me how I felt about it.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, again, I'm sure all automated. As soon as they check you out.
Anger is a motivator.
Oh, absolutely. But I wasn't even thinking that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a week later I would have left a bad review. I don't know. Probably not. But the fact that I got that text, I was sitting in the emergency room writing, and I was so fucking mad. So yeah, I didn't answer the phone when they called, and I'm not going to respond because I'm just going to there's nothing to do other than for me to bitch more. They're not going to make me happy after the fact, right?
They're probably not going to do anything about it.
They're not. They're just going to try to
surveys do anything about it.
They're gonna apologize and try to make me feel a little better and probably ask me to remove the review, and that's it. But anyway, so all right, should we get into our topic for today since it's an hour in?
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's start going.
It's time to begin the complaining.
I forgot what our topic was for a minute there. Oh, today we're talking about I'm only joking insulters. I'm only joking insulters. Yeah, that's what it is. I was trying to think of the phrasing. I'm only joking insulters. So those are, those people that make a nasty joke or mean comment about you, and then they just excuse it with, I'm only joking.
How old were you when you were first introduced to an asshole like that? Like somebody who jokes like that?
Well, that's a tough question because the friends I had, I'll say second grade, were friends that really just kept me around as a punching bag. I was just part of the group so that they could shit on me and make fun of me and have somebody to tease and basically laugh together about. I don't know if they ever were like, I'm only joking. They could have been. But yeah, it was probably about that age when I first encountered, pretending to be your friend while being an asshole to you at the same time. And look, there are people that are friends with you and they still will do those backhanded, and they're not backhanded insults. I don't know. They're those insults where they act like they're only joking. But I feel like a lot of times those friends are consistent in that way. I don't think it's like, a good friend that just does that once in a while most of the time, in my experience.
Oh.
You have different experience?
I mean, mine. So I probably dealt with it earlier, but it never came to my attention until I was in middle school. I had a group of friends. So mind you, I mentioned before, like I grew up being the token for a while.
Yeah.
And this is where it came to my attention. Is that around the age of like just getting into middle school. It came to my attention, like despite what my parents would say and things like that. I never saw it for myself. I had a group of friends, quote unquote friends, and this one kid, Kyle, and if he hears this in the future, he'll probably be the only one that knows, because I'm not gonna call him out or anything.
He should know.
Grow up, but this dickbag. First of all, at the time he was a dickbag. When he was new to the school, I was his first friend. I was nice to him. I hung out with him. So for him to treat me the way he did, he can go fuck himself. And he was always self-conscious about the dumbest shit. And that was that his name started with a C, not a K. And he had to have that legally changed.
Wait.
His name was Kyle with a C. So it was Sile, technically. He was very self-conscious about that.
That's so weird. I mean, it's fine. Like, whatever your name is spelled.
I never met a Kyle before him, so it made sense to me until I became older and realized Kyle was just...
I've never seen that before. This is weird. Yep. But yeah, there's lots of people with weird name spellings.
And mind you, the kid, he had he wasn't a fat kid. He was actually like a young, pretty blonde hair, blue eyes, kind of attractive, surfery looking kid. Short, but it was short hair. And he had one distinctive thing about him is that he had diabetes. So I was very sensitive about that. It was my introduction to stuff like that. But he was the type of person, but he started making friends with other kids, and we all sat at the lunch table, and his way of getting in with them was to use me as the punching bag with just kidding jokes.
Sounds like many experiences I had as well.
Yep. And sorry, go on.
No, I told the story before on the podcast of my friends throwing the berries at our friend whose father had passed away, right? That was on the podcast. Yeah, it was the same group of friends. So that was in 6th grade that happened, and these were kids I was friends with since 2nd grade. So it was 4 years plus
earlier.
Yeah, of dealing with these dudes. I mean, I could think of examples, but it was constant. Like anytime we were all together, it was always just shit on Matt, make fun of Matt, and be like, oh, we're just fucking around. I don't think they said fucking the time, but we're just joshing you, stuff kidding, like man. That. I remember for my one friend's birthday, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. We were, we weren't. I wouldn't say we were super poor or anything like that, but our family didn't have a lot of money.
Class,
we were. My parents got divorced when I was very young too, so I had a single mom who was trying really hard to make all the bills get paid and stuff. But I remember I went to a birthday party at his house, and my mom had gotten him a T-shirt from, I don't know, Playtogs or something like that, and it said "Too cool for school" on it. It's just like a silly shirt, right? Mm-hmm. That's what my mom had gotten. That's what I gave them. And dude, I remember being at that party and them just mocking me relentlessly for the gift. That it was a cheap ass gift when dude, we didn't have money to get you. I didn't have money to get you anything better than that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the shirt was dumb and them just constantly said, too cool for school, too cool. Just fucking constantly making fun of me. There goes the dog again. Constantly making fun of me about that goddamn shirt for I don't even know how many weeks after that. But it was everything. It was, that I was small and skinny. It was my haircut. It was whatever they could make fun of, they'd make fun of. The clothes I wore, because I'd wear the same clothes several days in a row because I didn't have a lot of clothes that I liked that fit me
Yeah. But isn't it? It's maybe it's an unspoken thing. Maybe there is a word for it, but there is like a line you can tell. Like for instance, on the podcast, I make fun of you.
Yeah, I make fun of you too.
Yeah,
but that's different.
You can tell the difference between that and somebody who is just kind of, I'm just joking. Like they'll, for instance, if you have like a gay person in your group, nobody gives a shit that they're gay. Nobody gives a single fuck. But for some reason, that motherfucker is constantly having to point it out every 2 seconds. Not the gay person, but the just kidding guy.
The douchebag
has to point it out, and you're like, okay. Even if it's like now you're not even going for jokes that fit in context or it's just everyone. You just have to. You're just
doing it as an insult. You're just hiding it as a joke. That's it. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
On the internet, it's just so goddamn easy because usually it's on forums or on comment sections or message boards.
And now I'm wondering if I should tell my PlayStation Network story I told you.
You probably should. It was a
good story. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But yeah,
we'll end with that because it's a nice bookend. It's a nice bookend. Yeah.
Yeah. So and just people, we already know we obsess over things. We're dumb little monkeys. Like we see the shiny thing, we obsess over it. So like they find one thing about somebody, like, oh, you suck at this game or something, and then that's their one thing that they're just gonna constantly rattle off on you.
Well, with somebody
like, I'm just joking, or if you get on them, then it turns into I'm just joking. It's the same as the it's just a prank, bro. It's the same type of mindset.
Yeah, it is the same. Well, what it comes down to is they're looking to get, for whatever reason, they're looking to get under your skin, whether it's to make themselves feel better or just make you feel worse. Yeah, whatever it is, they're trying to get under your skin, and they're just disguising. They know the thing they could target you that's going to get under your skin because they know it bothers you, or they know it's something that's going to irritate you, and they'll just obsess about it. What makes it different though between you and I busting each other's chops and that friend that just constantly, like, if you made a joke about me being bald, well, you're bald too, so I guess it doesn't really work. But like, if somebody makes a bald joke about me, I don't care. I laugh. No, like, it's funny to me.
It's going bald and looking good bald. See, I look good bald. You do look good bald. Yeah. See, but there's a difference with me making a joke like that. We're both going bald, and we know the reality of the situation.
You do look good bald. If I bicked my head, it would look really bad.
I kind of want to see it, but
no,
I feel like I would regret it.
Oh, you would regret it. It would be in your nightmares. I'd look like fucking Voldemort with a beard.
I don't think your nose would vanish, but maybe.
But seriously, what's the difference between you making a joke like that to me and me not taking any offense and knowing that it's just a joke and you're ribbing me, versus somebody that does that but is doing it with the intention to insult? Like,
well, what's the difference between using a handgun and using a machine gun? Or submachine gun? It's the rapid, like, if you have a handgun that has like 15 shots and a machine gun that has 30 shots, are you going to aim more with one or the other? Which one are you going to aim more for?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
You're going to focus more. You're going to like take care to make sure your shots hit their target, as opposed to just fucking going wild and going like hoping you hit something. Those people don't fucking stop, and they'll go for any kind of fruit, and is to the point that it's just purely mean-spirited. My joke was not mean-spirited towards you. It was a joke at your expense, but it wasn't mean-spirited.
Yeah, but it's done in the spirit of camaraderie, really. Like, that's what it comes down to. It. I don't know why, but like the fact that you can make a joke about me like that, and that like I just laugh and it doesn't like makes me feel closer to you, and it's weird, right? Like it makes me think like, we're really. Like, we're tight. We really care about each other because I don't, it doesn't bother me at all with that he's going to make a joke at my expense, and I just laugh along with it. So I guess that has a lot to do with it too, the relationship. A lot of people
understand that familiarity has a lot to do with it, but most people who do shit like that are very familiar with you. Not you specifically, but as a person.
But thinking back to the friends I had those years that were constant, we were very familiar with each other. We were... I mean, I guess close, like we hung out all the time and stuff, but you're right. It was rapid fire. It was just constantly shitting on me to get them laugh. And I mean, the same thing happened. Our mutual friend and I had another friend in like late middle school, early high school that was the same thing. The two of us were friends with him, and we were his punching bags. Like, he just shat on us all the time. He would, physically too. Like, he'd just punch us for no reason.
I was about to say,
hard.
He literally shat on you guys. Like, you said physically.
No.
I was like,
he never did actually shit on me, but he did. Yeah, but like, he'd punch us for no reason. But the two of us were there really for him to just make fun of. And it's the same thing. He'd just be like, I'm just messing around. He'd punch me like hard. Yeah. And I'd be like, fuck, like that really fucking hurt, dude. And he's like, I'm just kidding around.
This just dawned on me. Actually, keep going, because your question really opened up something.
It was just kind of the same situation where, and it was weird because it was a 2-on-1. Like, the two of us were being submissive to him, him as one
now,
person.
You heard what you said, right?
Yes.
You were both submissive to him.
Yes.
I feel, now that you question that, when I'm thinking about it, I'm realizing that maybe it's more so that when people are taking the piss out of each other, like, it could be a group or one-on-one, whatever it is, it's not creating a social hierarchy.
Yes, that's a very good point.
The I'm just joking types or that type of situation always creates a social hierarchy.
That is an incredibly good point. You're absolutely right.
That's always involved every time somebody treats other people like that.
You're right. It doesn't matter how small or big the group is. You're right. That always is what it boils down to. It's some social hierarchy where you're literally submitting. It's funny because that's the type of personality I was then. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was not comfortable in my own skin. I was happy to have somebody that was willing to spend time with me. Yep. Now I would tell them to fuck off right away, and that'd be the end of it. Like, I have a completely different personality now, but you're right. It's definitely to create some sort of social hierarchy with somebody at the top or some group at the top and others that are below them. Because now that I think back, even that group of friends where they seemed to always be shitting on me, there were a couple other kids that would hang out once in a while and they'd also get shit on. And that's just the way it worked.
And mind you, I'm not going to also put it all on the onus of the person making the joke, because some people think they're closer and familiar with you enough to be able to make certain jokes.
Right.
And it can be taken the wrong way. I've done it. When I used to work in a Best Buy. I didn't work for Best Buy. I just worked in there.
Right.
And everybody was kind of making fun of each other. And they were close, but I wasn't as close with them. And I got winged into that. And I don't know if I put myself there. I probably more so did. But I was in the circle. Like, I was cool with everybody. And I got joked on. And I'm not going to repeat the joke because it still hurts. No, I'm still because I run into the guy once in a while, and me and him are really cool. So from his perspective, the joke he made wasn't so scathing.
He doesn't even know.
For me, it stung. I was like, bro, fuck, that really hurt. And I could have been mean, but I know if I said something back, I would have been doing it out of mean-spiritedness as opposed to just taking the piss.
Yeah.
And I had to stop myself.
That's a good point too, because you're right. There are certainly situations like that where it doesn't necessarily mean that, or it's not necessarily mean-spirited. It really is just a misunderstanding of the relationship.
Exactly, and I think that's what it was, because we did work together for like 3 years at that point. It's just I wasn't as close to him as maybe he felt that like it was, or maybe it just really hurt. And instead of lashing out, which a lot of people do, especially online. I kind of took it for a minute, and it took time, and went, oh no, he's not actually he doesn't really feel that way. He's just
trying to bust my balls and didn't realize.
Okay, I'm gonna say what he said because I'm being a pussy if I don't.
I wasn't gonna make it. I wasn't gonna call you out on it.
Yeah, but I'm doing it in the back of my head as I'm talking.
All right, go for
it. This one hurt because this makes me shave my head even more, and I've been working on trying to lose weight. But this motherfucker called me Al Roker, and I don't know why, but that fucked with. I had just gotten out of the army and gained a lot of weight due to my injuries and
I get it. No
kids, and I was really self-conscious about it. And he called me Al Roker, and Al Roker didn't lose his weight just yet. I don't think at the time.
Right, I got it. Okay,
and I don't know. Al Roker isn't a ugly guy, but you know what he looks like.
Sure,
if he was in an office and he hit on the girl, they'd call HR on him.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, that's a nice way to put it.
It's, even if he was just being nice, so I just that really fucking hurt.
I get it. And you know what?
I was being sensitive, and I know I was being sensitive. I know I am a little sensitive about it.
No, but that's okay. I mean, I've never gotten into my OCD stuff on the podcast yet. I think at some episode, I think I've said at some point we'll get into it.
You did mention it, and I was shocked that you had OCD issues.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I mean, I had multiple... It's funny, I just had a long talk with one of my buddies because he's going through some stuff right now, and I was kind of telling him all this stuff about my past, but I won't get into all of it. But one of the issues, in fact, the one that really forced me to go and get help with it was I became obsessed with the idea that I was losing my hair. Funny now because I am, but I was like 18 at the time, and it all started because I went into a pizzeria by Media Play where I worked, and I was standing, they had those bright spotlights, and I was standing under one, and I had really short hair, and I gelled it. So it was shining right on my skin. And he was like, are you losing your hair? You're young. And I was like, huh? And he was like, oh, no, you're like 18, you're fine. But I couldn't get it out of my head. And
it stuck with you, right?
It stuck with me. And I mean, again, I'm not going to get you on this podcast.
Because I do that. I obsess over things.
Well, dude, again, I won't go into crazy detail, but I became obsessed with the thought, and I could not stop checking. I had to constantly check in mirrors and like go through my whole scalp. Like, does anything look barer? But it was like same thing. Just like that one comment just got me really, really hard. And it was innocuous. Like, it wasn't even the guy making a joke, like saying that
he was just curious and just spoke his mind.
Right. He just made this one random comment. Oh man, dude, for years after that, I wanted to go in there and just tell him off too. And it took me a long time to realize, like, he wasn't doing anything. He was just saying some stupid, just making conversation.
So one of my closest friend, well, he's closest friend because he was like my first friend as a child. I don't really talk to him much now, but we're cool with each other. And he became popular in high school, like stereotypically popular. He played guitar, he played the drums, he was really good at it. He would sleep with girls all the time. Just ladies' man type.
Sure.
And so he stopped being my friend and using me as a punching bag. So he was that kind of guy for me. And due to our old friendship, I just kind of held on to that and had like this submissive role under him. Now that we're both old men, he kind of sometimes tries to do it, and I don't give a shit. So I just like ignore it or ignore him. And I hurt his feelings by accident, but I'm not submissive to him anymore. So I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not telling you because I'm being mean, because we wanted to work on like a script for Batman, and he was like, I could play Batman, and we're like, God, you gotta probably have to lose weight to do it.
Yeah.
And he got upset. I'm like, your face is too round for the mask. It's not gonna work. When you put your Batman mask on, it squishes your face out. Like, you're not the way you used to look like in high school. We're old.
Either way, I mean, Batman's like super jacked.
Or skinny,
like,
apparently.
Whatever. Batman's like in really good shape.
Robert Pattinson. He was pretty good in that movie.
Well, Batman's supposed to be in really good shape. So, like, even just like your average middle-aged dude, even with, without a pot belly, is not going to be in shape to be Batman. I get it.
Put myself in any Batman role because Batman would fuck me up. Like,
well, I get it from your side, and I get it from his side too.
Yeah, I understand how hurt his feelings, which I didn't mean to do. I was just like we could get a third-party actor.
Well, either way, in those situations,
character.
But in those situations, you say, "Hey, man, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings," and he says, "That's cool," and then you move on, and that's it.
But he wasn't used to us not having the dichotomy that we used to have.
So he was waiting for you to be like, "I'm so sorry,"
or something.
Take me back.
But anyway, because I was like, this guy's like infinitely more talented than I am, and everything like that. But he was always jealous of like my opinion of him, so I never understood like how that worked out. But regardless,
the mind is a weird thing.
He would treat me the way he did in high school, and did all these things. And one thing I obsessed over and I couldn't deal with was he, for the longest time, because I got introduced to the word automaton because I didn't know what it was, and I thought it was such a cool word.
This is a cool word.
And I used it in a sentence, and he goes, automaton. What's an automaton? And he's like saying it over exaggeratedly, and I explained it to him. It's like, that's not a fucking word. And we couldn't just look it up. We had like Ask Jeeves, and you know how terrible that shit was when it first started?
Yeah.
And nobody wanted Yahoo. So we didn't use the internet. We didn't have cell phones we could just pop out. You had to like put up dial-up, and he made fun of me for years for that. I'm like, and I would obsess over the fact that like you wouldn't even look it up. But I'll be in like my lonely hours by myself. I didn't hang out with him for like a year or two thinking about
it. Yeah.
And actually, yesterday I was thinking about it.
Really?
Like, this is something I obsess over.
Dude, mental health, like I said, my buddy's going through some stuff right now too. I mean, I've dealt with stuff for forever. You've dealt with stuff forever. Mental health is just so goddamn important. And like, I hate how terrible our country is with it. Trying to find a therapist, a psychiatrist, at least around here for sure, is next to impossible. No one's taking new patients. Or there's just not enough to go around. A lot of times, they're afraid to prescribe necessary medications anymore because of the abuse, and they're afraid that it's going to come back and they're going to end up getting in trouble. So they're not even comfortable really treating patients the way they're supposed to. It's such a fucking mess in our country, and I just don't understand. I've never understood why the way we treat physical health and going for physical exams every year, and we have doctors' offices everywhere, and people go to the doctor several times a year. Like, nobody treats mental health that way. I've never understood it.
People think like that, like how you do, but I've come to believe they don't give a shit about physical health either. Like, we understand we need money. We need people to make money and to be profitable. We need people. So we need them to be functional, but we don't necessarily want to perform it well enough where they are fully healthy and they don't have to come to us.
Yeah. No, I guess you're right.
And it really is really upsetting. I mean, your son with the she shouldn't have her whole practice should not have wasted your time in the urgent care. That should have never have happened.
No, it shouldn't.
And the sheer fact that it did, like, and then for her to get upset, maybe she was frustrated, maybe she was having a bad day.
She very well may have.
Any of those things. But the bottom line, in context, was that was not a situation she needed to put any patient through.
Or herself.
Absolutely.
I wasn't as upset about her reaction as I was that there were two opportunities to say, hey, I can't do this.
This kid's bleeding out of his face.
Yes.
And screaming. And he just can't handle it.
I don't know. It's very frustrating.
And you know, it makes it hard to find like errors or malpractice when callousness is the biggest fucking problem that we have across all health. We're focusing on mental health, treating it as if it was even with physical health, but physical health isn't even all that good.
No, it's not. I've seen my neurologist. I've seen for 10 years, maybe longer. And when I first started seeing him, I don't know if it was because he was fresher or what, but he was awesome. I mean, I'd wait sometimes like 2 hours for an appointment, no joke. But it was because he literally would take as much time as he needed with each patient. And so I didn't mind waiting for 2 hours because I knew if I needed 40 minutes of his time to really talk through something, he would give it to me. And it went on like that for a while, and it was great. Like he had explained everything in detail. So I was there for chronic migraine, which I've suffered from since I was 14, 13. But he would explain all the medications, how they work, what causes migraines, how I get them, what types I get, how to identify he would go into great detail. Now I get on the phone with him for a telehealth appointment. Takes about 30 seconds. He's like, do you need any refills? Everything okay? Last time I actually wanted to talk to him about something, and he hung up before I could get anything out because he's just rushed. And I saw it over the 10 years I've seen him, where he's like, yeah, the practice has told me I can't have any personal conversations with clients anymore. Because I talked to him about video games sometimes when I went in, because we both played games. Then it was, I'm not allowed to do this. And he got so beaten down by all the rules and all to make more money, all the things they were pushing on him to make more money, that he just started to, I don't know if he doesn't care anymore. I think he cares, but he just realizes he's part of the machine, and he has to just be the cog he's supposed to be, and
because he has to survive. He has to live.
Right. Like, I mean, they want him to see 100 patients a day. I mean, it's not 100, but if they want him to see 30 patients a day, he has to see 30 patients a day, or he loses his job. Period. He can't do anything about that. And I think that's a lot of healthcare. It's probably a lot of jobs in general.
Well, no, it's a lot of jobs, but what should always be considered a nasty phrase for anyone to say, I know we're not on topic anymore, but fuck it, that's what the way our show works.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Is the best the best healthcare money can buy. That should never be a fucking phrase outside of elective medicine or whatever you want to call it. Unless it's elective, there's no fucking reason why anyone should say, well, you know, I'm dying of cancer and I went to the best people money could buy. Fuck, you're dying. They should be already trying to do everything they can to take care of you based on how old you are. If you're super young, they should be fucking throwing as much money as they can to keep you alive.
What I don't understand about healthcare in our country, and the fact that I think we're the only one of the industrialized countries, civilized, whatever. What's the word people use? That doesn't have some form. As long as
we don't use first world.
Yeah, no, not that. Well, you know that all really just ties to the war. Yeah, but you know that really just ties to the war. I guess from what I understand, First World War, one of the world wars, was really just the countries involved in World War were called considered First World, and everybody else was Third World. I believe that's the origins. I could be totally wrong. I might have read some bullshit. Anyway,
I never looked it up. I just know what context is usually used in.
Yeah, well, to your point, it doesn't matter. The context it's used in is what it means now, but I believe that's where it came from. Anyway, but the fact that we're the only country that doesn't have some form of universal health care to take care of people is crazy. But what drives me nuts is I always compare it to, and my wife is a teacher, and teachers are super important. I'm not saying that teachers aren't important, but I don't understand why people have no problem pooling their money in tax dollars to pay for schools, school systems, teachers, superintendents, all the administration, sports, all the money that people are willing to spend on education, but don't see the equivalent of what we should also be spending the money on healthcare too. How can you not think both are equally important? I don't understand it.
And are very important, but here's something silly that you said you bring that up. You know, schools have quotas, right?
Sure.
They make most businesses for some reason. Maybe it's something I don't understand in economics. They make a certain amount of money. If they spend a certain amount of money. If they don't spend that certain amount of money, they won't make the amount of money they need the next year.
Right. They'll reduce the budget. Right.
Fucking why? Why isn't it that they can't have a surplus that gets saved and lasts 1 year? Money doesn't just fucking get up and leave on its own.
Because people are fucking stupid, dude. Because they look at it and they go,
what are we keeping running that's not useful, that we're just pushing, where a school has to be desperate and delete programs and certain healthcare can't make certain things happen. Like they have to minimize their birthing wing or burn wards or whatever the fuck they have to do just because the quota wasn't met the year before because they didn't have to spend as much.
Right. I don't know.
That you can tell me all you want, but if you bring it in the most simplistic terms, if I make a certain amount of money at work and I save it up and spend it on food and clothing and bills, and I save up that amount of money, that extra saved money can go for if fucking a window gets busted, if I get hurt, or
sure.
all that surplus money can go for things that fix the school, that can add that extra wing on the hospital, that can get the medications. Like, I don't understand. I feel like there's a system that's created just to make that shit difficult.
There's definitely a system that's been created, and that's just how things roll.
Shouldn't have to be there.
Well, look, you can't assume that somebody's so stupid that there's this binary decision in their head and they go, well, they spent less this year, so I guess they don't need as much next. There's no way anybody's that fucking stupid. So
I beg to disagree.
Okay, maybe there are people that stupid, but
I feel like there's a computer that was a program that was built by somebody who's callous enough to not care, and the computer is stupid enough to go, number not hit, they don't make it. The number hit, they make it. I believe that wholeheartedly.
But that goes back to the fact that somebody was callous enough to make that program do that. Not that they're stupid.
People are callous enough to have people fail upward.
Oh, I know that. I'm not arguing that people aren't callous enough. I'm arguing that nobody's stupid enough to look at it and go, oh, well, you don't need as much money because you didn't spend as much this year. Nobody's that stupid. It's callousness, it's greed, it's whatever else you want to blame it.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm on my little high horse, my tiny little high horse.
I like when you get on your tiny high horse, but like I'm just trying to compare the two, and in that if you ask somebody about socialist medicine, because that's what they're going to call it, or universal healthcare, they're going to scream, "No, it's socialism, it's socialist medicine." The people that are against it, but you could say the same thing about, well, why are you okay with putting all your tax dollars into making a school system for kids to be educated? Well, how is it different? How is that different than pooling money so that everybody can get health care and get the treatment they need instead of fucking living with pain or mental anguish or whatever it is? Like, how do you separate those two? And it's only because, obviously, that they've been taught to think that way. I mean, we know what the reason is, right? But it's just I can't. I have such a problem with people who can't think logically, or at least jump over the hurdles of their preconceived notions to allow logic to creep in.
I was looking at a charisma course on YouTube.
Oh boy, what are you trying to go out on the town and
no, not
one of those players?
Not a hit on people kind of charisma course.
More
so like how to read people during arguments.
Oh, okay, that sounds really interesting.
Because I find myself in way too many situations where I'm butting heads with people, and no matter what I say, it's like I'm not fucking talking at all. I'm only saying words so I can get yelled at. So I was looking up stuff, and one thing I learned is people, no matter how smart they are, cognitive dissonance is a really powerful deflector. And
that's
so
true.
when you use logic against somebody who's going through cognitive dissonance, they tend to double down. So when you got systems that like, well, this person's the person who's more logical is going, well, this person knows more about the situation than I do, so I'm going to kind of defer to whatever they believe. But the problem is the person who's really smart in that thing, if they still are capable of saying something stupid, but due to cognitive dissonance, they will marry themselves closer to that stupid thing than they would, no matter more than they would the thing that they trained that says the opposite. Or maybe the evidence of it is opposite. So that's why we end up, and this isn't a thing, but when people argue about like police brutality on either end, people are having arguments about it, but they won't acknowledge the situation where like, well, this person did this and the cops shouldn't have done this. They both probably, like, the death shouldn't have happened, but the bad thing should have been punished on both ends. The cop should definitely go to jail. Or you'll find people who defend people who do really shitty things. Like when people were doing the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp thing, which thank God I don't want to hear any more about these two people besides me talking about them in this situation. You find people defending shitty things Amber Heard did, or the closest you'll get is people going, well, they're both terrible. Is like, in which situations? Because one of them is a drug addict who's trying to not be a drug addict, according to some things, and the other one is an abusive, manipulative drug addict who won't even take responsibility for any of the terrible things they do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, like, you can't. I can't fit in an Oreo, and I can't sit on a fence because I don't want to be in the fight. I want to sit on the fence so I can see everything that's going around, because you two are fighting in the street and there's a fucking truck coming. I want to be able to, like, guys, this is happening.
That's a really profound statement.
So
I like that.
I'm trying to like work on not being in the thick of it with people in situations like that, because I don't think I'm smarter, but I at least want to be more observant.
That's a really healthy way to think. I like that, and I mean, I could say I'd like to be more like that. Yeah, maybe I could be more like
oh
that.
No,
too.
I want to win arguments. I want to. Deep down, I do, but it's not worth it.
You're right. Well, I mean, you know me, dude. I'm opinionated, and sometimes I'm overly opinionated, and I can really dig in.
Bro.
I guess you're right.
We both are.
But you're right. Maybe it's not always the best way to be.
Well,
unless
like
I'm sure I'm right.
For this, we're arguing. Like, well, no, we are not arguing, but we could argue if we have like dissenting opinions on the show. Yeah. But that's for fun. I'm not going to hate you afterwards.
Oh yeah, it's much different. Much different.
for that. I hope if anybody comes on the show and I have a disagreement with them on something, that I don't think I'm gonna hate them on it. Just unless like what they really believe is something truly evil, and even then I'm not going to hate them. I'm just going to be really confused as to how they got to that conclusion.
Well, I mean, there's a huge difference between argument and there's my alarm going off. There's a huge difference between argument and debate, right? I mean, they're not the same thing, and I think that's
at this point.
Well, in theory, there's supposed to be a difference, and like I love a healthy debate. I love having a conversation with somebody that can make good points that are dissenting opinions with mine. Like, I love that. And I mean, I've talked about it a couple times on the podcast, reading books or listening to things where that was the case. I love that. I mean, I love getting that information and being able to see somebody else's side where it makes sense. I mean, it's different when somebody's just a dumbass and they're just making points that they're parroting or they, or that they've heard on fucking news or something like that. But yeah, no, I see what you mean. I don't know. It still drives me crazy when people aren't willing to just think logically. I mean, I'm okay if you think logically and you come to a different opinion.
Yeah.
I just can't stand when people can't go through the logical thought process and analyze something for what it is without having those biases just overtake it. And they just can't.
Absolutely.
They can't get through it. So I don't know. Do you got any other topics you want to bring up, or should I tell my story?
Topics I want to bring up, but we probably should end it.
We're going an hour 40, and we're planning on possibly recording another episode later this week to get something in the bank, so we're not missing weeks. So and we might even do 2 next week too. So we should probably save a little bit. All right, I'm going to end with a story that is actually very embarrassing. I'm embarrassed by the story, but it's a great story because it's just something that doesn't usually happen. So I like playing video games. We've talked about that. One of the games I like to play is NHL. The EA Sports, Chell, they're called. Not Chode, Chell. It's called Chell. That's the EA Online Hockey League.
Holy shit, I didn't even know that was a thing. I was just calling you a Chode.
I know you were calling me a Chode, and I was correcting you. It's Chell. I've been playing them for, 10 years. I've been playing every year I play it. But so 23 came out, and I play a lot of online versus. They have great. Why am I explaining so much about this fucking game? They have great drop-ins
who don't play. Like,
okay,
that's why you're explaining it.
You can turn it off if you're not interested in this. But they have a great online mode where you can play, with a league team, or you could just play drop-in and like you'll play one position and you got 5 guys on your team. But it got really hard to play those. It was just always uneven matchmaking, and you'd get in and like 5 people on the other team would leave, so it was 2-on-5, and then like teams would go down by a couple goals and they just all leave. So it really started to get frustrating to play. So I started playing versus where you just play as a team against somebody playing as a team. So I've been doing that for years. I play a lot, and I get really into it. Really into it. Like, I get really heated when I'm doing poorly. I get really mad at myself. And it's funny, too, because I could be sitting playing, and I'll be like, motherfucking goddamn bullshit. And my wife will walk in and be like, she'll be like, what do you want for dinner? And I'll just be like, I don't know. Like, it completely separates
a different part of your brain activates.
It's completely different parts of my brain. But, a couple weeks ago, and I told Juaquime this story last time we saw each other. A couple weeks ago, I was playing, and I had a bad day. I had gotten into a fight with my wife. Just some other shit was going on. I was just having a really bad day. And I was playing. I was doing really crappy. And I was playing one guy. And he wasn't really ragging on me or anything. But, I think we were both chirping a little bit. People chirp in the game will be like, oh, bud, that was shitty. Or, oh, got you there, And, like, I just got really irritated. I was getting so mad. He just kept kicking the shit out of me. And I was just like, fuck you. I hope your house burns down. And I quit. I rage quit. It's so embarrassing to say because it's so like it's a fucking game,
juvenile
right?
As shit,
I know, so juvenile. And like I was embarrassed. I'm always embarrassed when I get mad at video games. But I was just like, whatever, fuck it, I turn it off. So then, like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, I get a message on Instagram, and it's this dude, and he's like, "Yo, buddy, I just wanted to send you a message and say like it's kind of fucked up to say something like that to somebody on a game." Like, I don't know what the fuck your problem is, but you're a loser. Fuck you. Something like that. Like, and he had every right to send that message. And, like, for a minute, I just was like, fuck this. I'm ignoring it. Whatever. And then, like, I waited, like, 10, 15 minutes. I started to cool down. I was just like, he's right. I'm such a fucking asshole. Like, what's wrong with me? And I sent him a message. And I was just like, dude, You're so right. I'm sorry. I had a shitty day. I took it out on you. That was really fucking ridiculous of me to do. I'm so sorry. And I really, really apologize. And he didn't answer me that night. But then the next morning he sent me a message and he was just like, dude, it's totally cool. Don't worry about it. We all have bad days. No problem. We should play again sometime. Just totally. And we chatted back and forth a little bit. He's a dude. He's a rapper based out of Toronto, turns out. And like we chatted a bit. We're like, it was just so great. And like, I was so thankful for the fact that he accepted my apology and was just like, it's totally cool. Just this two random strangers don't know each other. And he said
beautiful.
He was like, it's real. I get it. It's real easy to just say something to somebody on the internet you're never going to talk to or see again. And he just totally accepted my apology. And I was just so grateful. And I'd like to think he was like grateful for the fact that I sent an apology too. It was like, wow, that's cool that he did that too.
You rarely hear shit like that. Like, it's not a small thing, but it's not like
no, dude, I was thinking about it for a week. I couldn't believe it. I was just in my head. I was like, that was such a cool moment that I was a fucking asshole to this random dude on the internet on a game. Which, I mean, come on, you hear gamers. If you know anything about online gaming,
that's what you believe is going to happen.
Yeah, if you go play games, you're going to get called every fucking name in the book. I mean, God forbid, every slur you could think of, you're going to get called. Anything you could think of, you're going to hear it. But for that to come of it, for him to just call me out on my bullshit was one thing. Was like, good for him for calling me out on being an asshole on the internet. And then for us to just reconcile it and then just get to chatting and just be like, yeah, man, let's play again. I was like, oh, dude, you're going to kick my ass. I'll play you again. It was just the coolest thing. I felt so good about it. And I actually stopped playing. I was like, I'm not playing this game anymore. I stopped playing like, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks ago now. I just stopped playing. I was like, I'm not playing this anymore. It makes me too angry. Why am I playing this game that makes me angry? It makes me happy. I get through a game and I win. I get that little tiny dopamine hit. It's not worth it getting angry for some stupid fucking reason, So yeah, and you know what? I've been in a better mood since I stopped playing that fucking game. But it was just so cool. It was such a neat story, and for two people to just connect like that after such a stupid, shitty incident where it didn't need to happen. Like, none of that needed to happen. It could have just ended with me being an asshole and him thinking I'm an asshole, and that's it. And instead we ended up chatting and forgiving each. Well, he forgave me. He didn't do anything to me.
Now just imagine in another universe. Somewhere out there, quantum. If you believe in quantum mechanics, there was a timeline where you just ended, like you responded to him. And you just said, "It's a joke, bro."
That wraps it up so well. I thought you were going to say there's a universe where he comes to my house and kills me, which there also could be. But you're right. It's just a joke, bro. It's just a joke. Chill out. No, it was great, though. It felt so good. All right, guys. That's the podcast. Like I said, we're hoping to get some bank episodes recorded so that if we miss a week here and there, we'll have something out for you. We may even have some fill-ins so that if Juaquime and I can't get on, we might have somebody who could fill in here and there and get on with one of us so that we have more content coming out on a regular basis. Because I don't know about you, but I really enjoy doing this. And the more we grow it and more people that are listening, the more fun I have. And it's just something I look forward to.
Absolutely. And, it's amazing. Thank you, guys.
I want to keep it going. And thanks for listening. Go check out the website, atiwihy.com. We got some merch up on there now if you want to buy a shirt with my big ugly face on it.
I got to check that out. I definitely want to draw a tiny high horse. I think I'm going to do that.
You should do that. There's just a couple shirts and stuff on there now. And I'm trying to, I got somebody that's going to do some more designs for us, a friend of a friend that I think.
And I
still think you are a fucking great artist. You should draw some designs because I can have them digitized if you draw them. So we'll be putting more stuff on there.
What I can do.
Yeah, so if you want to, they're actually really inexpensive, I think, compared to other similar merch. So check them out if you feel like supporting us in some small way. I mean, we're still going to do this thing.
It's appreciated that you even listen. So
yeah, we're still going to do this thing. Just the fact that anybody listens makes us super, super happy. But that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Yeah, remix.
Yep, that's a classic.
So what I did there was I pushed it twice by accident again, and then I tried to push it more times to act like I was doing it on purpose, but no, I just fucked up.
It was clearly not on purpose.
Peace.